We play and call it work.
Hey everybody, Matthew here from MiniWarGaming.com and welcome to this week's Sit and Talk. I thought I'd get cozy in my studio rather than at my desk because there's hardly anybody here right now. Dave and Quirk and Josh are at Valhalla, and Steve decided to take the week off, and Luca's playing a battle report with a guest. And my office was a mess, and I thought this table setup is much nicer than what in my office. This table setup you're seeing right here is actually for a game that just went up yesterday for This Is Not a Test, which This Is Not a Test is the name of the game. A lot of people get confused with that. It's a post-apocalyptic science fiction game, I guess you could call it, and it's so much fun. And Dave and I have been doing a free campaign, totally free, all on YouTube. Been trying that out, and we're going to do some experiments afterwards to see if we can make it worthwhile so that we can continue doing things like that. But yeah, this mission, totally for free on YouTube yesterday, so if you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. And also would love to hear your feedback on those battle reports and those videos on how you like them, because we're having a blast making them. And I think that if you haven't looked at it yet and you're like, well, it's not 40K and I play 40K, or it's not Age of Sigmar and I play Age of Sigmar, I strongly suggest you check it out. It's super easy to follow. The game is not that complicated, but it's got a lot of depth to the character of it, and I love the terrain for it. It's just so much fun. And we've been having a blast filming it, and we've done 3 weeks so far. I'm thinking we're going to do anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks in total to get the full story arc done. Anyways, the Sit and Talk is where I answer your questions, not just blather on about whatever the heck I want to talk about. And so we got our half an hour for free, and then we'll do another 30 minutes in the MiniWarGaming vault at the link below. So I'm just going to jump right into the questions. I got lots of pages right here. I got my phone here that's giving me a timer and how much time I have left, so it'll beep when my 30 minutes is up. Let's just do it. And of course, if you want to leave questions, then I should have checked to see who next week's was. Give me a moment here. I always forget who next week's Sit and Talk is going to be, and it is going to be, looks like it's Luca. All right. So next week is Luca. So if you want to leave questions for Luca, who will be doing the Sit and Talk next week, you can do so by leaving comments in the comments area below. Unless you're watching this on YouTube, we disable the comments on YouTube and make you come to our site and leave them, because we're mean like that. But really it's because it's a lot easier for us to print off and keep track of. So when we get plenty of questions, so there's no need for us to open up even more venues to do so. And then also make sure you thumb up any questions that you really want to be answered, because we look at the top rated questions first, and then we randomly select from there. First question, Crowthu. Matt, what is the best memory you have from the MiniWarGaming history? I have a bunch of really good memories. I don't know if I can pinpoint the best one. There's been several milestones in our growth that have been very exciting. Like when we shut down the store and we weren't sure if we'd be able to continue our business. We had to get so many more Vault members within the next few months in order to make up for that. And we grew quite a bit when the community responded really well, and we got really excited to see how many signups we got because of that. So that was, it was very exciting, because we realized there was a business that wasn't selling stuff. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but that there actually was a business just making videos. You have to understand that we're about 10 years old now, and 10 years ago, this is unheard of. Like, nobody had a YouTube business where they made money. Like, you had a couple big YouTubers who had like 1 million subscribers, and even they were trying to figure out how to make money from it. The YouTube revenues sucked back then. I remember there was a period of time where we actually, if you wanted to watch our videos when they came out, you had to come to our site, because we actually hosted them on a site called blip.tv, which no longer exists. It's gone out of business, because they were offering huge revenues. Like, we're talking 10 to 20 times the amount of ad revenue over YouTube. And so we would force people to watch there, and then 30 days later we'd put it on YouTube. And so like we were just struggling to find out, how do you make money from this? And everybody was trying to figure that out. They're making videos, and Patreon wasn't a thing back then, and Kickstarter wasn't a thing back then. And so just kind of slowly realizing that yes, this is a viable business, and yes, people will pay for videos, even though others will claim that they can get them for free online. And in reality, you can't get them for free if you're not willing to also support, because where is that money going to come from? So that was a really exciting time. And just realizing the community would rally behind us and really help us with that. So there's been moments like that that have been really liked. And I know you asked, can you take the time to ask all the other staff, but most of them aren't here. and I'm in the studio right now, so I wouldn't be able to. So sorry about that. Mac Hawk. Hi Matt, I enjoy watching the This Is Not a Test. Are there any other games you are thinking about branching into? Have you looked into the Batman miniature game? It plays much better now that the second has come out, and it looks amazing visually. Also, isn't Steve's birthday coming up? Sorry, he's off this week. I can't bug him about that. I can't. I know that we're currently working on getting towards a couple other games that we were talking about. Like Steve is working on Dark Age, and Josh, when he's able to, he's getting really busy, is trying to get Team Yankee up and running. We've been running into some snags there, basically just time, always having so much to do and trying to find time to fit those ones in. I've heard of the Batman miniature game, and it does look interesting. The nice thing is some of the terrain would actually match. I know with this terrain, we've beaten up, we've punched holes in to make it more wrecked, but there's still some things that would match up and allow us to do that. But to answer your question, personally, no, I have not yet decided. I know that when the Fallout miniatures game comes out, which is next year, I am very excited to play that, and so is Dave, so you can expect us to cover that at least for a campaign or something like that. This is not meant to be a pun, but this is a test. Us doing the game, This Is Not a Test, is a bit of a test. I'm trying to figure out, we have some ideas of how we can start to cover other games. Basically, our current Vault business model doesn't allow for small games really to be working in our model because people won't sign up to the Vault for those handful of games when they know that primarily what's in the Vault is 40K, and it's kind of a self-perpetuating problem, obviously. And so we're trying to figure out how do you make money by covering these other games, which we really want to cover because they're a lot of fun. And also because they deserve to be covered. I don't know if that's the best way to put it, because business is business, right? Like you deserve to be covered if you can build up your audience, but sometimes it's the which comes first, the chicken or the egg kind of thing. Like, is your game not popular because it's not good, or is it not popular because you don't have the right advertising venues? And then you have the opposite, where you have some other ones that are more popular because they're really good at marketing, but even though the games aren't as good. But typically, it's hard to make a bad game sell well, even if you have good marketing. But I still want to support a lot of these other ones, and also just because it's a lot of fun. That's actually my main motivation. Like, playing this game has been so much fun. Not that 40K isn't fun, but we just play it all the time, and you just need variety in that. So one of the ways that we're doing that is we're actually just starting this week, we've hired an advertising manager who's going to be working with companies that want us to play their games, and they'll actually sponsor it, so people will be paying for that. I know there's companies that are interested in doing that because we've already talked to some. So, but that'll kind of dictate which games we play, because we've got to find the companies who are willing and able to pay us to do it. And they get the benefit, of course, I hope, and that's the part of the experiment of, yeah, I'll give you this much money to play our game for this many videos and do this kind of content. And then my hope, of course, is that they make that back and then some, because it's advertising, right? There's an investment there. I'm hoping that'll work, because then it allows them to get even a more advertising for their game, and allows us to play more games, and allows you to get more content. And so there's a lot of questions that, of course, arise with that. This one in particular, I thought, I'm just going to put it out for free. First off, because we have a coupon code that allows people to go to the World's End Publishing website and get a discount, which allows us to kind of track how many people are going over there and buying stuff, which allows us to see the impact of the videos we're making. But then I also have other ideas, like, for example, if we do this whole campaign and afterwards we're like, hey, would you like us to do this type of campaign? Then maybe we could do something like an Indiegogo campaign or a Kickstarter campaign, or maybe some sort of Vault giveaway where if we get X number of Vault signups. I'm not quite sure. I'm playing around with different ideas, but what I'm first trying to do is what I tell anybody to do who's starting something new on YouTube, is get the content out first and then figure out monetization afterwards, because you need to get the viewership before you figure out monetization, because you just don't know what will open up based on how many viewers and how rabid those viewers are. Like, if you just have a handful of viewers, but those viewers are like super into what you're doing, then you can get more support out of them. You can have a ton of viewers who are just kind of, or like somebody who's watching Minecraft videos, they're going to be less supportive than somebody who's watching this kind of stuff, because there's like 1,000 other Minecraft channels, and so they're not worried that your Patreon isn't getting quite as high as it could because they have somewhere else they could go. Whereas things like this, people can get a lot more grassroots, I guess is what you could say. So I'm not sure what the next game will be. Like I said, Fallout for sure. There's a lot of releases coming out in the next few months with Games Workshop, and so that's keeping us busy, and that's making it harder to cover these, even though we want to. But make no mistake, you will see more of this type of thing over the coming year or two. Rodesks, Matt, why don't you have a special mini wargaming die like Steve, Josh, Dave, and Quirk? If you ask my wife, you'll know that I'm not very sentimental. I don't get excited for that kind of stuff as much. Dave is more sentimental. I don't know if sentimental is the right word, but like he's excited to make business. Like when the business first starts, he'd be the one to be excited to have business cards and have signage. He has a license plate that is a vanity plate for mini wargaming, and he gets excited to put the signs on the walls and the signs on the doors and all that kind of stuff. For me, I don't get as excited for that kind of stuff, so I'm happy to use the mini wargaming dice. And I don't really have a symbol that is me as well. So I know that they just kind of made up their own for those, but maybe one day I'll have them. Anubis45, hi Matt, if they were to bring Norn Queen out, the Tyranid Norn Queen out, what do you think it should look like? I think we've already seen pictures of the Norn Queen, albeit like from the 80s when it was in Epic, I think. I think there was a Norn Queen in Epic, and it was like this gigantic thing. So, you know, it was pretty ugly, but then so is the Hierophant and a lot of the Tyranid stuff. It had to be like big and kind of like a super Turbogon, where it's just like this big fat thing which is spawning other stuff around it. I really have no imagination for those things, so I'm not quite sure. Killslam, hi Matt. How would you describe your relationship with and knowledge of Battletech? I know you and Dave have had a historical relationship with the setting, but do you know the setting as well as you do for 40K? No, definitely not. We grew up with Battletech. Second edition, I believe, is what I was playing. And it's gone through several editions and a few companies since then. So, and I know it's changed a lot. They had the Clicks one for a little while, and then they had the other. I don't even know the current one because I honestly haven't kept up. I could tell you the basic story of the Battletech universe. I don't think I know it as much as 40K. If you had asked me that 10 years ago, then obviously Battletech I would have known a lot more. And I was into the lore, but as much as you could read from the main rule books kind of thing. I didn't have access to novels and Wikipedia and that kind of stuff to really branch it out. So I have a basic understanding of Battletech's universe and Battletech's lore, like their history and the KF fusion drives and the how they jump and the basic. I love the science behind it, and I actually really enjoyed The Expanse. The sci-fi, it's a science fiction TV show because they stick to a lot of science, and there's actually some similarities to what they do with how Battletech worked, with how they move between planets and systems, and I really like that. So you continue, Killslim continues, I see that MiniWarGaming is branching out into games other than just Games Workshop stuff. Do you think it's feasible for Battletech coverage by MiniWarGaming sometime, if there is enough demand? I'm gonna start getting this question a lot more now that we are starting to cover other games. And we'd always get this question before, hey, would you cover this game? Hey, would you cover this game? And my answer was always the same. It was like, well, we've got to focus on the bread and butter, which is Games Workshop games. And then, you know, if we have time, we can do these other ones. But now that we are branching out into advertising and sponsorships and stuff like that, who knows? It'll be dependent a lot about whether these companies are willing to pay us to do it, so that we can then put the resources into it. Because really what it comes down to is that, like, we're a business, we have to make money. I can't just pay somebody to make these videos, because it costs a lot of money to make videos. Like, there's a lot of time involved, so a lot of manpower, and then all the miniatures and the terrain and stuff that you have to buy. Like, just doing this is not a test. I spent several $1,000s to get this terrain painted. Now, thankfully, TT Combat donated a lot of terrain for this, but we still had to pay to get it painted and pay for the miniatures to get painted. Even though we got some donated by World's End Publishing. So we sunk thousands of dollars into this, and then all the hours of labor of me building the campaign and Dave and I playing it. Like, we've loved it, we've enjoyed it, but in the end it's cost a lot of money. And so that's going to be the same for other games as well. And so we need to have a revenue source from that. And so obviously it being sponsored is one of those possible sources. So it really will come down to what companies will pay us to cover their games, and that'll kind of dictate where we go with our games. Also, what's your favorite mech from the setting? I seem to remember, oh, what was it called? Was it the Vulture? And it was the one with the two big LRM 20s on its arms. And it didn't have arms. It was just, that's all it was, is it just ran around. I love the way that one played in the Mech Warrior video game. It was a lot of fun. Tabe 8. Hey Matt, it's not hard to notice. It's hard not to notice the increased level of quality on the channel over the last year plus. I'm a happy Vault member. Well, thank you. We've been really trying hard. I know some people might think otherwise, or they, you know, whenever we get new employees, they always get kind of beat up a lot on quality because they're still learning and stuff like that. But we've been really working hard to increase our quality. Since you guys are setting the bar higher and higher, I'm wondering how much attention lighting is getting. Some dice are difficult to see with the glare from enamel. I wonder if there could be any solution like indirect lighting. This is a complete nitpick question. No, it totally has attention. It's kind of one of those things that we haven't been able to do anything about because of the way we film. In a typical studio, you have 3 walls, and then the cameras are all pointing at those walls. And so your lighting, if we look at it from the side, like if this is your studio and the cameras are here, your lights can all be here, they can be here, they can be up here, they can be up here, they can be the sides because they're not seen by the camera. And that gets you that full lighting. Whereas in our studios, since we're filming in all directions, we can't have lights on the sides because first off they take up space, but also when you're moving the camera around, you'll see them and they'll just glare into the camera. And so you get these dark spots because all our lights are coming down like this or like this. And so you get dark spots along the bottom, or if you're looking at a miniature, it can get dark on the kind of the body of the miniature. And so in our new studios, in the new building that we're currently creating, we're trying to have even better lighting so that it will never be perfect because we can't have lights all the way down here. But it'll allow us to have, we're going to be building in more lights that will give more of the sideways light. But yeah, it's totally something that we think about and it's something that we want to improve on. Mylan, Matthew, obviously MiniWarGaming is quite the success, so you've no need for career advice, so we're always learning new things. But I get the sense you'd be pretty good at marketing. Just a random thought. Is that your advice, that I'd be good at marketing? I actually am the one that chiefly is responsible for our marketing, so thank you. And Steve Sit and Talk, you mentioned that you are somewhat musically talented in that you play the piano as well as the orangutan. Did you mean organ and you got auto-corrected? How long have you played for? I don't really play the organ. I dabbled in it for a little bit, but I never got the pedals down. I only played for about a year. So I can play the keyboard part of the organ because I play piano, but I never learned the pedals, which is really what you need to learn to be able to say that you're an organ player. I've been playing piano since I was 5 years old. It's about 30 years now. I play in my church choir, which has helped me to keep up my skills. I went to, I'm not sure how it would compare to other places, in the Ontario Conservatory of Music, I went to grade 10, which is the highest grade you could go to. And it's just something I've always loved to do. And so my kids are learning it too, and I'm hoping that they can pick up that skill. Because it has been quite useful. But yeah, so I played piano for about 30 years now. I'm not a concert pianist. I can play a lot of stuff. I say I have a decent level of piano playing, but there's plenty of much better ones, but I just don't have time to devote to it as much as I would like to. I would love to have been able to make I don't know if I'd want to make a career out of it in the sense I don't want to be like a traveling musician because I want to have a family, stay at home kind of thing. But it would be fun to maybe one day when I retire from this and if I have excess money, so I'm not worried about how much money I make from it, I can just maybe start a YouTube channel performing piano on videos or maybe teaching, that kind of thing would be fun. So, The Crook 88. Hey Matt, it has been a while since I commented on your Sit and Talks as I have been traveling around the world. Didn't quite make it to Canada though to see you guys. I have completely missed the changeover from 7th to 8th edition. That's a pretty big miss. Now it has been out for a while. How have you found 40K's popularity within your vault signups? Not asking you to disclose numbers. Have you found you have grown or lost members? We grew by 11% in the month that 8th edition came out, which is ridiculous. Now, over the following couple months, we had a bit of loss of those members, of course, because whenever you have a huge growth event, you're going to see a little higher cancellation. But we'll still have netted 8 to 9% growth within one summer, which is ridiculous. It's a huge amount of growth. Like we're happy in a whole year to get 15 to 20%, and this within one quarter is like 8 or 9%. So it was really good. It's definitely more popular than 7th. It's definitely rejuvenated it. 7th just kind of got stagnant and a little bloated, or a lot bloated, and a little boring. But I think 8th has really brought that back. So hopefully that'll carry on. Even over the year that I didn't watch, I'm still happy for my money to go to something that I enjoy watching and support you guys and what you do. Thanks for everything. Thank you very much. P.S. Bring back the brown cloths. I hope they are safe somewhere. The brown tablecloths, those were ugly. So maybe we can find them just for you. Teldonator. So in Steve's Sit and Vault from last week, he answered a question about what instruments the MiniWarGaming staffers play, which got me thinking, have you ever considered doing a performance together as the MiniWarGaming Orchestra? If not, would you consider it now? Now, I'm not aware of any others except Quirk playing violin and me playing piano. What other ones did he point out? I guess I should find that out. P.S. Steve says he sings like an angel. That'd be interesting to hear him prove that. Then we have M. Thorne. Hey Matt, the Death Watch campaign is pretty much all I did hope for, but being greedy as fans are, won't to be I'd like to ask whether you intend to continue the Beatmap Batrep series. I really enjoyed seeing those in 7th edition since they brought a feeling of personal investment from your side, a more competitive stance, if you will. Narrative is awesome, as are the strange and wonderful lists we get to see, but sometimes I just want to see someone fight tooth and nail to snatch away victory. Obviously, by the time you've seen the sit and talk, you've seen me put out a couple more Beatmap Batreps. I am definitely still doing it. My current season is actually my favorite season because I've been playing non-typical scenarios. Like I'm basically staying away from Maelstrom and Eternal War and going through the narrative missions and the open play missions, and I'll continue doing like the Cities of Death missions and all those kind of things, Planet Strike. Really enjoying it so far, but it is going to come out slower than before because I am focused a lot on building other campaigns and all that. So I'd expect maybe a pairing every, I don't know, 2 to 3 weeks is my guess. I can get a couple Beatmap Batreps filmed. I can do more than two a month. It's just with my schedule. I'm just busy filming things like the Death Watch, or This Is Not a Test, and those do really well. But the Beatmap Batreps are definitely not going away. Anubis45, hey Matt, if and when they release the Space Wolves Codex, what new units should they get, and do you think they will bring back Lehman Russ and his Wolfguard? Also, what new units should the Tyranids get? I don't think you'll see the Space Wolves or the Tyranids get any new models, just because with the way they've been releasing it, if you look at the releases that have been happening so far, it's more like they're just trying to get the codexes out, and like the Space Marines obviously got new models, and the Death Guard got new models, and we'll probably see the Space Marine thing continue a bit, but for Space Wolves and Tyranids, I wouldn't expect to see any new models. And you know what? For Tyranids, I'd be fine with that. In fact, I'm fine with the way the Tyranid Codex is right now. Of course, I'd love to have a better list of Warlord traits and psychic powers and stratagems and relics and stuff like that, but I'm actually quite happy with the way they are right now, so I don't expect either of them to get new units. Except Space Wolves, obviously, like the Primaris stuff, which should be wrapped into that wherever is necessary. Technosaurus, hi Meadow, is wondering how explosions work in 8th. I think most guys roll a die per unit cut in the explosion, but more recently I think I've seen Luca and maybe Steve roll 1 die for the explosion and apply it to all models within range. Any idea which way to do it is official? Maybe I missed it on an FAQ, thanks. So you're talking about like when a vehicle explodes and it says all units within 3 inches take D3 mortal wounds. You could read that sentence more than one way, so that you could interpret it that they all take, and you roll a D3 and insert the number, 2 wounds. Or you can say they all take D3 wounds. So this unit takes D3, this unit takes D3, this unit takes D3, and this unit takes D3. I personally roll it individually. I don't know if an FAQ has addressed that. Statistically, it works out the same. Obviously, if you're rolling it 5 times, it'll be statistically the same as rolling it once for everybody. It's just obviously it'll swing more when you're rolling it once for everybody. If you roll low, then it's really low. If you roll high, it's really high. But yeah, so I roll it individually. I don't know if that's the official ruling. I haven't seen it in an FAQ, but I also haven't looked in the past couple weeks, so I'm not quite sure. Vito Verano, if you were one of the 2 missing Primarchs or a Chapter Master, what do you believe would be your Legion or Chapter specialty? For example, Thousand Sons or Masters in the Mystic Arts, Iron Warrior Siege Experts, Ultramarines, Empire Builders, etc. All the best, Vito. So we have the 2 missing Primarchs. We knew there was 20 to begin with, and 2 nobody talks about, but apparently all the Primarchs know what happened to them, and the Emperor obviously knows, but nobody talks about them. That's a pretty big deal that there would be a secret that even the chaotic ones wouldn't talk about. That's got to be pretty nasty. Okay, let's put that aside for a second. Let's just say that he were to make another Primarch, and I were that Primarch. What would their specialty be? They would be the math Marines. They'd all be really statistical and everything, and it'd probably be OCD in that area. And they'd be unpainted, or they'd get somebody else to paint their armor, and they wouldn't care exactly what it would look like. Specialty-wise, though, I think they would work really hard at, they'd be like either like the Management Marines or the PR Marines. I think those are 2 of the skills that I put into this business. So they'd be really good at public relations, so no matter what happens, they'd always try to look like the good guy, even if they're not. And management style-wise, you know, they'd be one of those chapters that cares about the people that they turn into Space Marines in their home worlds and stuff, and people in general. And but yeah, I'm not quite sure. What would be my specialty? The Musician Marines? I'm not quite sure. Chozon 1. Sorry, how much time do I have left? Oh, I got another 5 minutes. Okay, we're good. Matt, hello. Hello, Chozon 1. Firstly, the This Is Not a Test campaign has been amazing. Thank you. I would happily pay for content like that, and I'm kind of surprised every time I realize it's free. It's just good stuff. I hope that, as a test, it's been going well. I'd love to keep seeing videos akin to it. All I can say is the views are good. We're getting really good views on them and really good comments. It's hard to really gauge anything else because we don't have vault signups. One of my hesitations for putting it in the vault was that it's like people don't even know that they want to see this game, so how do you get them to sign up to a vault membership when all you've shown them is the role-playing part of it? They haven't seen the battle report. So I really wanted to just put out a season of it where it was free, and then maybe if we do season 2, that would kind of follow the old tradition of RPG vault, RPG battle report. Yeah, it's like free vault, free vault, free vault. We'll have to wait and see. Or maybe, like I said, we'll do like an Indiegogo campaign that'll raise the funds so that we can put it out for free again. Not quite sure, so we'll see. Next part of your comment. Secondly, what advice can you give as an experienced games master to a prospective games master? I'm wanting to start up a tabletop RPG and could use some pointers. For Glory and Bacon chose on one. Being a GM, it can be tough. It's a lot of work because you're the one that has to come up with the scenarios and the story. You do by far the most work out of the entire group that you're playing with. It is really important. It's not so much the GM, it's the players that are really important because they need to be able to trust whatever you're going to do. And so I guess you need to earn that trust. You need to it's kind of like improv. When you learn about improv, one of the things that I don't know if the technical term is called blocking, but basically when you're doing improv and one person's trying to create some dialogue and the other person just shuts it down, they're like, okay, improv a scene of you and your wife. Okay, hey wife, would you like to go to the store? And then the wife improver says no. And you're like, okay, would you like to go see a movie? No. See, that's called blocking, where like this person's trying to create something and the other one just kind of cuts it off, or always tries to pull it back to somewhere. As a GM, you gotta find the middle ground between getting them to do what you want them to do and letting them do what they want to do and improving whatever the heck that's gonna happen. Like there's tricks, like if you want them to get to a location and they don't know where that location is and they come to a crossroads, obviously no matter which way they go, you can have them arrive at that location. Make it feel like they had a choice. And that's also an analogy. It doesn't have to be like a literal place that they're going to. It could also be a decision they're making and it still kind of leads them to this thing. But your players have to they have to be willing to let you do whatever you want, accept whatever you say, and even die when you want them to die. And that's very important. If you don't have those players, and no matter how good a GM you are, you're going to have a frustrating experience because they're going to block you in your attempts to do cool stuff to them. So it's a symbiotic relationship. The players need to be good and allow the GM to do what they want, but the GM needs to deserve that trust of, yes, I'll let you do whatever I want to my characters because I know you'll do cool stuff and I know you won't just like try to block us at every turn and will actually be interesting. Blason, Matthew, could you rank your employees by the value they provide to your company? Absolutely not. That's like asking a parent to choose their favorite child. Also, it's difficult to do because people are in each other's videos. So Dave and I do This Is Not a Test and we get X number of results from it. What is Matt and what is Dave? When multiple employees are together and they're doing stuff, which a lot of our videos are, then you can't say, well, it's just divided equally between them because maybe it was the one employee that drew in everybody and was interesting and the other one's just kind of along for the ride. How do you know? You just can't tell that. You can look at the battle reports where they're by themselves with guests, but then it's hard to compare because like if somebody does a lot of fantasy and another one does a lot of 40K, well the 40K one's going to have more vault signups, but it's not because they're a more valuable employee. Because there's value in having the people covering the other games as well, even if those ones don't make as much money, but it's still better than just doing more of the same thing. So it's pretty hard to do. In fact, it's pretty impossible. So you have to do a lot of subjective valuations, and so I will never try to rank them out loud. I might in my own head have ones that I like more than others, but I'll never express what that is. And they all think that I like them the best, so whatever. Nate the Big Dog, Matt, do you even lift, bro? What? Do these pipes not look like I lift? Yeah, I don't. Leonid Lopez. Matt, I'm an Apocalypse fan and I enjoy those reports of the Apocalypticon that you guys used to organize. Do you see any time soon where you'll be hosting again some massive event like this in the future using 8th edition rules? Absolutely. Now that we're going to get our new building, we'll have a space that can fit 40 to 60 people in there for an Apocalypticon. I am most certain that we will see the return of the Apocalypticon. I can't say when. Probably, I don't know if it'll be next year or the year after. But yes, that is one of the events that I want to run. Rail, Matt, will you guys run fantasy tournaments in the new building? I definitely attend if you did. I'm not sure 100%. It seems like something that we would try to do. It's just, we're going to run a bunch of different events. We're going to test out lots of things and see which ones people actually come for. And those are the ones that we'll do repeatedly. Like, my time is done. But like if we run a certain type of a tournament and it sells out really quickly, then you can bet that we're going to try to schedule one of those every year or twice a year or once a quarter. Apocalypticon, if it always sells out, we'll do that yearly. And over time, we'll create this rotation of events and still leave room for special events in there as well. Well, that's my time for the free sit and talk. Thank you so much for your questions. Click the link below to continue watching in the MiniWarGaming Vault. If you're not a Vault member, which I know most people watching the sit and talk are Vault members, but if you're one of those few that's not a Vault member, then click the link, get a free 7-day trial so you can watch the sit and Vault and all the other stuff that's in there right now. It really helps us support us too. It is what allows us to do business, and we'll continue answering questions down there. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.